What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I get asked all the time, Philip, you do a lot of kayak fishing. What do I need to get into kayak fishing? So I've laid out some stuff that I feel like everybody that kayak fishes really needs to have in their kayak. This is not an exhaustive list of everything that you should have. Some of it's going to be personal preference. But I feel like all the things that I've laid out here are going to be things that everybody's going to need in their boat. Stay tuned. That's right. Everything you see right here are things that we're about to review. And I'm going to walk through each one of them and the things that you have to have. The things you have to have are over here. Starting right here with the towel over are things that you don't have to have per the Coast Guard, but I think you really need to have in your kayak. So the first thing that you're going to need to have in your kayak is a PFD, a life jacket. Now these come in either a non-inflatable form, so like this is just a normal life jacket that you probably used when you've been sea doing or you've been out in a boat. It's pretty simple, right? You're just going to clip it on. Make sure you find one that fits you. This one, if I was using it, I honestly would cinch it down more. And honestly, this was probably a little bit big if I don't cinch it down. And why that's relevant is it's going to come up on you like this if you get in the water. It can actually be much more of a hurt than it can be a help. So make sure you find one that fits. My preference nowadays, especially because I'm doing a lot of kayak fishing, and these tend to get a little bit more in the way, is to go with the inflatables. Got this one from Bass Pro Shop, as you can see. It was on sale for like 50 bucks. You're going to probably spend between 100 and 150 bucks unless you can find one on sale. Like I said, I found this one for like 50, 60 bucks on sale. You typically can get these like in, late spring, early summertime. They'll put them on sale because, obviously they're planning on, getting their rack ready for the fall at that point. But you have to have a PFD per Coast Guard rules. I mean, you just can't be legal without one. Something else that you have to have is a whistle. Now, a lot of people say that you really can't hear a whistle whenever, there's a boat going by, but this is something that you're required to have. For me, if I'm going coast fishing, I like to have my hand flares. If I'm anywhere in the bay, or especially if I'm going offshore and I'm fishing a couple miles offshore, you need to have something that people can really see you. Another thing that I don't have here is a little small air horn. That can be a good replacement for this guy right here. What I don't like about the air horn is the air horn has a life on it. If it expires and you go to use it, it may not actually have any juice. This guy's always going to work. So while it's not as loud as an air horn, it's something that as long as you've got breath in your lungs, which, if you got breath in your lungs, you're probably trying to be saved. It's something that you're going to have. So those are two things you're going to have, the life jacket and the whistle or flares, something like that, where you can tell people, hey, I'm in need of help. Something else you're going to need to have is a 360 light. You can't tell, and I'm not going to turn it on because you won't be able to see it because of this bright sun I have right here. But this is a Yak Attack version. Hobie makes these. There's a lot of versions you can find on Amazon. This one goes right down into a rod holder nicely. It's got a nice little orange flag, which is an additional indicator, but really you could take the flag off. You just need the 360 light anytime it's not safe light. Safe light is 15 minutes after the sun comes up, or really it's when it's safe light. You can actually see people pretty decent. So use your judgment call on that. Just because it's 15 minutes after sunset and you're legal, leave this guy going, because this is what's keeping you safe out on the water. A lot of times boaters cannot see you. They're flying out to their spots early in the morning and you want to be safe. So now let's get into some things that are not required by the Coast Guard law, but really things that everybody needs to have. I'm going to start off with something that's I feel like is probably one of the most important out of all the need to have things, and that's protection from the sun. So we've got buffs, we've got gloves. You're going to want to wear long pants, so they make a lot of good fishing pants out there. Long wicking style shirts. You're going to want hats. You're going to want sunglasses. These are Waterland, by the way. If you want to go out and get some Waterland sunglasses, it's waterland.com. PW will get you 15% off. You're also going to want to have a poncho. It's another weather-related thing that I've ran into many times needing rain gear. And you know, you don't, especially in Texas, you don't always know when it's going to rain on you if you're fishing the coast. Really doesn't matter where you're fishing. Everybody's gotten into a squall while they've been out fishing that was not on the weather forecast at all. This poncho is going to save your butt. It's going to keep you dry. And it's just a lot more comfortable to be out on the water whenever you're dry and you have a poncho on. Now let's start. Oh, one other clothing item. Get you a good pair of water shoes. These actually look like tennis shoes. They've got good rubber soles on them. They're actually BF Goodrich soles there. But these guys right here were from Academy. They were like 60 bucks. Not super expensive. As you can see, they're falling apart a little bit because I use them a ton. But these are going to protect your feet. I've seen lots of videos and pictures and buddies of mine that have gotten hooks in the feet. My feet are pretty tender, and I think all feet are pretty tender, so you probably want to have some good feet protection. It protects you from fins and things like that as well. You can pin the fish down with your shoes. It protects the fish as well, so they're not flopping around your boat and beating themselves all up. So there's a lot of benefits to having the shoes. Something else that you're going to want to have, this is not a clothing item, but a towel on hand. And I like a towel with a carabiner on it. That way you can clip it onto things, clip it onto your life jacket, clip it onto your yak. You're going to want to have a towel on hand. You're going to get stuff on your hands. You're going to want to wash it off. You don't always want to put your hands in the water. Sometimes you're in places you don't want to put your hands in the water for whatever reason. So make sure you have a towel on hand. Now, let's start talking about like little gear pieces that you're really going to need. I feel like a pair of fish grips. They're going to be key. I really like these ones that double as a weigher because you can kind of get an idea on how big your fish are. We've all caught a big gaspergoo or a carp or a catfish, something like that, that we didn't want to put on like an actual weigher. So yeah, definitely have something like this on hand because you can clip him on. Not only can you control the fish, release him nice and safely, but you can also get a decent weight on him as well with these. You're going to want to make sure and have something that you can cut with. I prefer titanium scissors. I feel like knives can get a little bit cumbersome in a kayak. You're floating around, you're wobbling around. It's easy to potentially cut yourself or hurt yourself. I like the scissors because they're a little more blunted. You're less likely to cut yourself. I mean, you definitely could if you've got the point into you. So you use your best judgment again, but it's not like a knife where it's got a blade where you can cut yourself anytime it hits you, you know? I mean, this thing is going to be a lot safer. And I've gotten into situations where I needed to quickly cut line or get, you know, off of things because of wind. In a kayak, you're getting blown around a lot. You got to remember that. These can save your butt, even in rigging. And I actually did get caught in a situation in the San Luis Pass down in Galveston where I had to cut my anchor rope, and I used these exact scissors to do it. It literally was so much tension on the line that I couldn't pull it off, and the current started pulling my kayak under. So I had to do a quick snip. You know, maybe it did, maybe it didn't save me, but it definitely made me feel a lot better to get off of that anchor quickly. Sucks to lose an anchor, but you know, but an anchor is something good to have on hand. All right, so now what do we want to go to? All right, so other items. So I said don't really have a knife in the boat, but I do think you should have a knife close to you, either in your truck or in your boat for filleting fish. This is exactly what this is for. It's the Bubba blade made for filleting fish. And in tandem with that, you want to always make sure you have a stringer, some easy way to keep fish. I like a stringer because it's nice and compact. It's a little cumbersome sometimes having fish hanging off of a stringer in your kayak. I totally get all that. But guys, you're going to get into situations where you're going to catch some fish and you're going to want to keep them. I've been there, we've all been there, and you don't have any stinking way to do it if you don't have a stringer or a fish basket or something like that. So make sure you have that. Pliers. Especially needle nose pliers. I mean, we've all gotten into a situation where we got a fish and we could not get that fish off easily. The needle nose pliers are going to save your butt a ton in that situation. You're going to be able to get hooks out of not only fish, but if you get, you know, a hook caught up in some kind of fabric or something, these are going to save your butt and help you rip that out of there. Countless uses for the pliers. You've even got a little bit of wire snip right there as well, so double action. Another tool, I think you should always have a multi-tool of some sort. This one has gotten pretty stiff because I took it down to the coast, and I can see that I need to take and grease it up. But you can see this has got a variety of different tools on there. It's even got some pliers on it as well, so in case I drop mine in the water, I've got another set of pliers right here. You can't ever have too many little mini tools and tools like that on hand when you're in a kayak, and you'll run into a lot of situations where you need them. Something else you're going to need, a little pair of clippers. or fingernail clippers, you know, what a lot of people think of these as. These are going to really help you with snipping tag ends off a line, cutting braid. These help a ton. Braid, as everybody knows, especially braid, is kind of tough to cut, especially the tag end. These help a ton with that. You're going to get hangnails, you're going to get little loose pieces of skin, your cuticles are going to mess up. All that stuff, you can cut all that stuff off while you're out on the water. Helps you be more comfortable while you're out on the water. I promise you it's going to make a difference. This has actually got a little bit of a hook file on it as well, so it's a little bit of a multi-tool in that fashion, but I have an actual hook file. You can see this is just like a little pin. I could clip this on, you know, whatever. My granddaddy actually gave me that, God rest his soul. But this guy right here has saved me a ton. I don't know how many times I've been in a situation. You don't want to necessarily pull out a brand new lure out just to get a sharp hook, right? Especially if you're on fish. So this little guy right here, a couple swipes of a hook, you're sharp, you're good to go again. We've all blunted a hook from time to time through a rock or whatever it was, right? More tools you're gonna need. Duct tape. If you can't fix it, duct it. This is actually Gorilla Tape. I think Gorilla Tape's a little better than duct tape. I know, I grew up using duct tape and loved the crap out of it. This stuff just tends to stick better, and it sticks in all weathers. Whether it's really cold or really hot, this tends to work. We all know that duct tape gets a little bit hard to use when it gets really cold out, and this stuff really works. You're gonna break stuff on your kayak. You're gonna want an easy way to fix it. Duct tape's gonna save your butt a ton. And paracordage. This is 1/8 inch paracord. That's probably the most versatile type of paracord there is. What I like about paracord is you can use it for a lot of riggings and ways to either fix things, or you could double it as a fish stringer. So if you forgot to bring a stringer and you had some paracords, you could make yourself a little quick stringer. Tons and tons and tons of uses for paracord. And you can even take paracord and you can fray it out, and you can use the individual strands if you needed to get smaller, or you needed some smaller cordage for whatever reason. So I feel like those are things that you're gonna have to have on hand. Something else that I feel like every good fisherman needs to have on hand is a good net. And get a big net. I see all these people in kayaks and they have these tiny little stinking nets, and if that's all you can fit in your kayak, you know, no big deal. And I'm not talking crap by any means, but get a big net. You don't have to catch monster fish, or monster as I like to say, fish. But having this bigger net is going to help you land more fish. Trust me, you have a bigger net, it's easier to land the stinking fish, and also get you one that telescopes. Because then, you know, you can pull it out longer, you can dip this fish, you know, this fish out longer in the boat, or get them in the boat from farther out, you know what I'm saying. But these are something, you know, that you're going to need. You can actually get this net at Academy for 20 bucks. And I'm not sponsored by Academy or anything, it's just the cheapest and best net that I've found. It's got that nice coating over the nylon so it doesn't get hooked up in your hooks as much. When it does get hooked up, you can actually pull it out. Now the last but not least, at least in this video that I'm going to show you, is something that you have to have while you're out on the water. I don't know how many times I've run into somebody like, hey man, you got some water? Because they didn't bring any. Get you a little soft cooler. A little soft cooler like this. It doesn't have to be this specific one. I like this one because you actually blow it up, and that's how it actually creates the insulation for it. You just unscrew that and blow it up. But this is a nice little soft cooler. See, I've got my water down in there. So whenever I'm ready to go fishing, I'll just drop me a couple in there and drop me some ice cubes or an ice pack in there, and I'm good to go. You know, you don't need necessarily a ton of waters always, but you need to have water while you're out on the kayak, even whenever it's cold outside. I don't know how many times I've seen people get dehydrated whenever it's in the dead of winter, and it's because they're out there pedaling around in a kayak all day and they don't really drink enough water as it is, or maybe they even do drink enough water. It doesn't really matter. You can get dehydrated when it's cold outside. The wind will dehydrate you just like the sun will. The sun will probably just do it a little bit faster. So guys, that's again not an exhaustive list of things that you're going to need in a kayak, but it's all things that you're going to need in a kayak, and it's things that have really helped me out over the years. I hope this video was helpful for y'all if you're getting into the game, or maybe you've been into the kayak game for a little while and you're just trying to expand out your accessories a little bit. If y'all have any questions, you can put them down in the comments. I'm happy to answer them for you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I'm going to put out more content and tips like this. I have a ton of fishing content when I'm out just having fun. Y'all get to view that. I put tips in those videos as well. Lots of general know-how just to try to help y'all catch more fish. And guys, a thumbs up and a comment on this really helps me out a lot. It helps the video trend. And it's totally free for y'all to do so. So I'd really appreciate the support, and thank you for everybody that does. Stay fishing, guys.